This program is for informational purposes only. It is not intended to treat, diagnose, or cure any illness. Please speak with your doctor when starting a new health program.
Hi everyone, welcome to Wellness Talk. This is George Batista, and this is the show that goes over the latest in health, healing, nutrition, and fitness, and all the stuff that we can do to live a happy, healthier life and do it in a natural way, so we don't have to rely on pharmaceutical drugs and pain medications and all that type of stuff. So hopefully the tips that we give you every week can kind of help you out and give you some ideas on things we can do, because ultimately we want to take responsibility for our health. So before we move forward, I just want to make sure you guys, those of you who are listening on YouTube, if you can hit the like button if you like what you're hearing and you want to hear more of this stuff. And as well as you can see our articles on Facebook. All the articles that we go over and everything that we talk about is on our Facebook page at Platinum Nutritionals, or you can go to platinumnutritionals.com, because Platinum Nutritionals is the company, and you could also go to georgebatista.com. It'll bring it to the same place, but what we focus on is health education here. So glad you guys could be with me this week. I bring this podcast to you every week. So this week we're going to talk about calcium. Okay, calcium is one of those misunderstood minerals, and there's been a lot of craziness about calcium in the last 20, 30 years. So we're going to talk about calcium and why it's good for you, and are you getting enough, and what it can do for you, and what are the side effects to it as well. So we'll go over that. Again, that's by Wellness Resources. Great article by Linda Dauberstein. And also, we're going to talk about hot flashes for women who are, postmenopausal, who have issues with hot flashes. There's some new science, new research talking about things you can do to actually help with hot flashes. So those of you who are suffering from that, hopefully this gives you some good tips and good ideas about that. All right. So let's get started. So first article, again, this is from Wellness Resources, Linda Dauberstein, and this is about calcium. And the title of the article is, Are You Getting Enough? So let's talk a little bit about calcium. So calcium is an essential mineral. It's needed by your body for structure and cell function. Now, part of the issue with calcium, especially in the last, I would say, probably 30 years, obviously the big thing is, people, especially women, dealing with osteoporosis, right? Thinning of the bones, bone fractures, and things like that. They would go to their doctor, and their doctor would tell them to get on calcium. Well, we've things have changed since the whole calcium fad, because doctors have been prescribing calcium for a long time, or telling women to get on calcium because of thinning bones. But since that has been going on 30 years ago, we've kind of smartened up, really, and we've realized that there's a lot more to that story than just calcium. Okay, but we'll go into that a little bit as we go along. So obviously you need to get adequate calcium, because we all need calcium. Ideally you would get it through your diet, but the problem is that because of bad diets, because of poor dietary choices, poor absorption, different types of things, a lot of people are not getting enough calcium, and some people are getting too much calcium as well. So we're going to talk about both ends of that spectrum. So now calcium is, to kind of go into calcium 101, calcium is the most abundant mineral in the body. Okay, obviously it's in your bones, it's in your teeth. Okay, but your bones and your teeth are the most major storehouse of calcium, the skeletal calcium, and that's where your major metabolic needs are. Now, 99% of the calcium is stored in bones in the form of what's called hydroxyapatite. Okay, that's the form of calcium that's stored in your bones. Now, the remaining 1% of calcium is in your blood. Now, why do we need calcium? Okay, what does calcium do? Okay, so calcium is needed by a large number of critical processes in your body. Now, it's involved in blood vessel contraction and relaxation. So think about when you're, those of you who work out, let's say you lift weights and your muscle is contracting, right? And it's shortening, and you're pulling up that weight or whatever it is, or you're just lifting something heavy. Calcium is intimately involved in that contraction, okay? Calcium is needed for nerve transmission, okay? It's needed for neurotransmitters. That's how nerve impulses go through your body, okay? It's also used for cell signaling, okay? Transporters and buffers, cell proliferation. It's used in apoptosis, which is cell-programmed death, okay? It's also used for hormone secretion. Okay, a lot of people don't know this, that calcium is intimately involved in these types of things. Calcium has a role in blood clotting. Okay, a lot of people don't know that as well. Okay, it's intimately involved in blood clotting as well. So there's a lot of things that calcium does in your body. Now, if you don't get enough calcium in your system, okay, that can lead to a lot of issues. So what are inadequate calcium related symptoms? Okay, so it could be muscle cramping, okay, because obviously, again, calcium is intimately involved in your muscles. So if your muscle's not getting enough, they can cramp up, right? Especially in the hands and feet. Numbness and tingling in the fingers, facial twitching, slow and irregular heartbeat. And by the way, calcium is also involved in your heart beating properly, as well as magnesium. So think about the heart beating and relaxing, right? Well, calcium is involved in that process. And if you're not getting enough calcium in the heart, there can actually be an irregular heartbeat. Okay, so that's and it can also happen with not enough magnesium as well. So that's why the body your body tightly regulates the calcium and magnesium in the system, because it's needed for that, for those types of systems. Because remember, the heart is a muscle. So if it doesn't have enough or it has too much, it can cause irritability. Okay, so lightheadedness, anxiety, depression, anger, confusion, hallucinations, and even seizures, all that can be related to inadequate calcium levels. Okay, even things like brittle nails, coarse hair, dry skin. Low calcium can even be related to softening of the bones, obviously, and decrease in bone density. Okay, so now some of the causes for low calcium. Okay, if you're taking a supplement that is poorly absorbed, that is a problem. Okay. Now obviously we're dealing with an epidemic of poor absorption in society, because a lot of people have poor gut health. So, if you have poor gut health, obviously you're not going to absorb whatever calcium you're taking properly. So that's a problem. And here's a big one. And people that I've, counseled throughout the years, this is one of the major ones. An acidic environment, because of drinking soda, for example. Soda obviously is a big dietary staple of throughout the Western world, right? So if you're drinking a lot of soda and your body becomes acidic, and that obviously that happens a lot with your pH, because your body has a pH to it, right? So your body becomes acidic, which means that your body has to do everything to balance out the pH. So what does your body do? If you're too acidic, your body will actually take calcium out of bone to actually suppress that acidity. Okay? Why? Because calcium is a buffer for acidity. right? So that's one of the things. Your body will actually leach calcium out of the bones to help with that process. Okay, so that's a problem, and I think probably that is one of the number one problems when it comes to absorption, because again, people have horrible diets. People are drinking tons of soda, eating acidic foods, and just having issues with digestion. So the body, your body is, your body is very smart, right? And your body's going to do whatever it can to regulate itself and to keep what's called homeostasis. Homeostasis is a balancing in the body. So again, your body's going to use that calcium. But what happens, it takes the calcium out of the bones, then you end up with issues. Now, recommended intakes of calcium, okay? So for example, if you're young, let's say 14 to 18 years old, 1,300 milligrams of calcium. When you're 19 to 50, 1,000 milligrams of calcium. 51 to 70, roughly about 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams of calcium. It also depends if you're a man or a woman. Women will need more as they get older. Okay. There's a lot of different food sources of calcium. Obviously, dairy, milk, yogurt. But you can get calcium from things like collard greens, kale, squash, sweet potatoes, almonds. All these things have calcium. As a matter of fact, almonds, 1 ounce of almonds has 82 milligrams of calcium. Okay, broccoli, cooked broccoli has 62 milligrams of calcium. So, obviously, again, you have to also be careful with, dairy, with too much dairy and where you're getting it from. But if you're if you're eating dairy, you're getting at least some calcium there. Now, another thing that will affect calcium is the kind of diet that you're on. If you're on a highly plant-based diet, for example, if you're on a vegan diet, vegetarian diet, you may not be getting enough calcium. So this is where you may have to supplement. So those are things you have to kind of watch out for. Now, forms of calcium. Okay, probably one of the biggest forms of calcium is calcium carbonate. Okay, that is probably one of the most popular, and it's the cheapest form of calcium. It's the form of calcium that a lot of cheap supplement companies will use. And the problem with calcium carbonate is it is not well absorbed at all. A very small percentage is absorbed. So think about like the limestone type of calcium. Okay, it's kind of like rock. It's not well absorbed at all. Okay, so you want to stay away from calcium carbonate. So the forms of calcium that I recommend, and the companies that I use recommend, is coral calcium. Okay, and these calciums are from coral minerals. And think of coral when you think of under the sea. Okay, that's the type of coral that that is a very absorbable form of calcium. Calcium citrate is also pretty absorbable as well. So coral calcium, calcium citrate, those are the most absorbable forms compared to the calcium carbonate, which is not as absorbable. So I use, again, those of you who know, I endorse Wellness Resources. Wellness Resources is a fantastic company. They use only the best sources of calcium in their line of supplements, coral calcium and calcium citrate. They have a wonderful product called Calcium AEP, which is fantastic for those who need calcium or for women who are dealing with it. Now, also, it's not just about calcium, because you have to remember that bones are a matrix of minerals. It's not just calcium. So, and this is where many traditional doctors and I will part ways, because again, a doctor will say, well, just take calcium, and maybe now they're saying maybe take some vitamin D. Well, your bones also need, vitamin D, vitamin K, magnesium, silica, boron, as well as calcium. All these things are part of your bone matrix. If you're not getting all of these, your bones will still be weak. It doesn't matter if you're taking calcium. As a matter of fact, if you're taking calcium and you're not taking vitamin K, and you're not taking vitamin D, that calcium can actually end up in the wrong place. Why? Because those minerals help put calcium in the right place. And this is where women can end up with calcification of the arteries, calcification of the breast ducts, okay, which can lead to other problems, eventually leading towards, hardening of the breast ducts, hardening of the arteries and those types of things. You don't want to go there. So if you're taking calcium, or if you're told to take calcium, you want to make sure that you're taking a supplement with all the minerals involved, vitamin D, vitamin K, magnesium, all these types of things. Make sure you're getting, again, the full matrix of that. Okay, that's what you need to be doing. And again, Wellness Resources has wonderful products that I've seen fantastic results, with people I've worked with in the past, with those products. So definitely check those out. Again, so the article is Calcium. Are you getting enough? By Wellness Resources. Definitely check that out. For those of you who want to get calcium and make sure that you're getting the right calcium and getting enough. Next, those of you who are dealing with post-menopausal hot flashes, okay, and I know there's many women who are dealing with that. There's some new studies that are coming out. And by the way, again, those are women who are maybe told to take calcium. So just keep that in mind that these two articles are related in those ways. Again, this is from Wellness Resources, Linda Dauberstein. Hormonal Hot Flashes, Tips to Survive the Heat. So let's talk a little bit about it. First of all, the transition into menopause, obviously it's very tough for many women, because hot flashes can be very, very disruptive in everyday life. Okay, so there's some recent findings that actually can shed some good news, and hopefully good news for those of you who are dealing with this. There was a recent study evaluated 210 healthy postmenopausal women with hot flashes, and the researchers measured their iodine status via a urine test. Now, they also measured, just so you know, their cholesterol markers, their lipoprotein A, and their triglycerides, and their total cholesterol. They measured that because they know that women in that area, women who are postmenopausal, also have higher risks for heart disease and heart-related issues. So they wanted to kind of measure all that. So let's talk a little bit about their findings. The results show that women with lower iodine levels had more hot flashes. And in addition, researchers found that they found also increased levels of lipoprotein A in the blood. Okay. Now, again, these are strong risk factors for cardiovascular disease, right? Lipoprotein is a protein carrier. Okay. But they found that inadequate intake of iodine has been an increasing problem in the last several years because of the salt phobia. Now, most people in the past, okay, growing, hundreds of years, okay, grew up eating salt and getting enough iodine, right? Because there was iodine in the salt. Well, what ended up happening later on, especially in the last, 30, 40 years, there was that whole craze of, well, don't eat salt because it's going to contribute to high blood pressure. Well, the problem with that is obviously the saltless diets have been leading to low iodine intake. Now, why is this important? Because iodine is extremely important, okay? Iodine is one of the most important things you can have in your body because not only, especially for pregnant women, okay? Because if you're not getting adequate intake when you're pregnant, you have a risk of your baby dying with an iodine deficiency. Iodine is extremely important for fetal development and fetal brain development, okay? So this is very, very, very important, okay? Inadequate intake of iodine can lead to many problems with the brain, many problems with inadequate development, all those types of issues. So you do not want that. So definitely, and again, I'm not a person who's going to say don't eat salt. Now, I will say, obviously, the types of salt are going to make a difference. Okay, I recommend Himalayan salt. I recommend sea salt. Or if you're having regular salt, very, small amounts. You don't want to overdo it, obviously. But salt is important in the diet. Again, iodized salt is very important. So that was one study that I thought was very, very interesting. That low iodine was a risk for more hot flashes. Also, folate. Okay, folate has been found to be beneficial in women with hot flashes as well. Another study demonstrated that women who use 1 milligram of folate per day, now 1 milligram tends to be high because, normal, supplements, if you're supplementing, will probably give you maybe 500 to 800 micrograms of folate, but this is actually 1 milligram of folate per day. Over the course of 4 weeks, there was a reduction in the severity and the frequency and the duration of hot flashes. Now, folate helped improve hot flashes due to its ability to lower activity and norepinephrine. Okay, now we know that noradrenaline and norepinephrine kind of spike when there is hot flashes. Okay, so it's a part of the catecholamine response, which is kind of that adrenaline rush that you feel, especially hormonally, with hot flashes, right? So folate, helped with this. All right. So now, one of the issues that women have dealt with, and what women that I've counseled have told me throughout the years, is that one of the biggest triggers of hot flashes is stress. Stress is a huge trigger. They found that when they came from a stressful event, that the hot flashes really came on severe and got worse. So they found in these studies that folic acid, okay, or folate, which is one of the forms you'll find in a very good multivitamin, actually helps with that and helps to mitigate those hot flashes. So this is very important because remember, stress. Think about when your hot flashes occurred. Okay, sometimes upon awakening, sometimes at bedtime or after meals or after eating certain foods or after stressful events. Some of these cyclical patterns may relate to the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. Okay, so studies demonstrate there was a link between the hot flashes and these pituitary glands, and folate helped with these issues. So this is all very, very important. Okay, and my thing is, what's the overall arching message? There are things you can do to help. Obviously, reducing stress, number one. Okay, taking good, B vitamins with good folate. Again, Wellness Resources has wonderful coenzyme B complex that you can take, or what I recommend is getting on their daily energy multivitamin, which has the folate, has the B vitamins that can help you. So number one, if you struggle to get out of bed in the morning, or if your energy is low, this can, these supplements can definitely help you with that. Okay. Another thing is the iodine. Okay. Wellness Resources does not use potassium iodide, which is used in a lot of again, lower end supplements. Okay, potassium iodide can be an irritant if you take too much of it. So Wellness Resources uses iosol iodine in drop form. So what I would recommend to those of you who are dealing with these issues and you want to try the iodine, take the iodine, put a few drops in whatever your water is or whatever your favorite drink is, drink that up, okay, and try that and see how that works. Obviously, again, reducing your stress, having a good diet, all these types of things are going to help with those supplements, okay? Because again, you want to lower that stress, lower those cortisol levels, and I think you may find this will help overall with your hot flashes and that type of thing. But again, you want to try this and see how this works. Hopefully, these things help. But again, Wellness Resources is a wonderful, wonderful company with, who's been around for over 35 years, and they are one of the only companies that I recommend, and that I've been using for the past 15 years with not only myself, my family, and my clients that I've coached throughout the years, and they're a trusted brand. So I'm going to put a link in the description to this. You can go to myvitaminresource.com to check out their supplements. They have some wonderful sales in August, so check those out. And again, any of the articles, go to platinumnutritionals.com or to the Facebook page Platinum Nutritionals and check those out. So that's the latest news from Health and Healing for today. Again, please subscribe or check us out. And, if you want to contact me, the email is office@georgebatista.com. I'll be coming back with you again next week for some more tips on things you can do to keep your health, take responsibility for your health, keep you guys safe. And other than that, have a great week, everybody. Take care, and I will see you again. And always remember, take responsibility for yourself, for your health. Be well.